Tonight on The Struggle, the rise of e-cigarette use among young people, Ash Barty continues flying under the radar, and civilians set to be launched into orbit. Figures from the Health Department have indicated that between 2015 and 2019, e-cigarette use by young Australians increased by 96%. Coincidentally, this is also correlated with a 96% increase in purchases of matching sunnies and singlets by guys named Kyle. Now, while this data is useful and it paints a concerning picture, it's also incredibly obvious. I mean, was this study conducted by just hanging out with some 16-year-olds at a bus stop? How is the government going to justify cutting funding for universities while subsidising studies like this? Honestly, sometimes it feels like Scott Morrison isn't the economic genius no one thinks he is. I mean, even I could have told you teenagers were vaping more than ever, and my whole thing is just sitting behind a desk and reading the news. Anyway, even if this data was blatantly obvious, it is worrying nonetheless. And here with her thoughts on the issue is our resident influencer.
Thanks, Sam. Now, vaping has always been a little bit of a confusing thing. Like, is it safe? Is it better for me than smoking traditional cigarettes? And does vaping make me look a little bit like a douche? Well, as the Struggle's resident influencer, I felt it was my duty to use my platform to educate you guys on vaping and how it is different from smoking. Smoking is one of the worst things a person can do to their body. Tobacco rots your lungs and it can lead to serious diseases such as lung cancer. But don't worry, I did a little research and I'm happy to report that vaping is nowhere near as dangerous as smoking. Don't trust me? Well, this is coming directly from Johns Hopkins Medicine. Number 1, vaping is less harmful than smoking. So if you love nothing more than puffing on that vape pen, but it's still not safe, that can't be right. Let's keep reading. Number 2, research suggests vaping is bad for your lungs and heart. Come on. Okay, so clearly the brainiacs over at Johns Hopkins have some sort of anti-vaping agenda. Come on, like everyone knows smoking is more addictive and vaping can help you quit cigarettes. So that's just a fact. Are you kidding me? Hey Denise, I'm just starting to rethink those vaping companies that are sponsoring me. They're paying me how much? Okay, never mind then. Are we still rolling? Cut.
Might want to work on your smoke and mirrors tactics, Natasha. Now, while there's been plenty of talk about the Canberra bubble of late, another sphere is being established to allow Australians to travel to New Zealand without having to quarantine. The idea of a trans-Tasman bubble was first touted last May, and Kiwis have been able to travel to Australia since the end of last year. But from next Monday, Aussies will be able to head across the ditch in what New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinta Ardern says
represents an arrangement I do not believe we have seen in any other part of the world. That is, safely opening up international travel to another country while continuing to pursue a strategy of elimination.
And while the ever-present threat of outbreaks risks curbing the agreement, for now at least, those travelling across the ditch won't have to go through hotel quarantine, which is sure to leave more than a few tennis players jealous. Speaking of tennis, let's head over to Sarai to check out the latest from the courts.
Thanks, Sam. Now, just briefly to address the elephant in the room, you may notice that I look a little bit different from what I have in previous weeks. This is because the production team have informed me that I will achieve a greater comedic effect if instead of wearing an outrageous pink wig and yellow glasses, I just show my normal face. Anyway, following her recent win at the Miami Open, Ash Barty has re-entered the shared consciousness of the sporting media. Following almost a year off tour, Barty has reclaimed her spot at the summit of the tennis world. However, these recent events have highlighted an ongoing problem that has plagued Barty throughout her career: her relationship with the media. You see, Ash Barty suffers from a fundamental problem in terms of her media coverage. She's not a prick. Not only is she not a prick, she's also not dramatic, she doesn't crave attention, and she has a healthy work-life balance. This presents a major challenge for sports media. If we've learned anything from Nick Kyrgios, it's that the only way to attract the attention that you deserve is to whinge, be unprofessional, as well as a generally unlikable person. As a result of Barty's unwillingness to engage in this kind of behaviour, the tennis world has struggled giving her the recognition of a Grand Slam champion who has been world number 1 for over 70 weeks. Such as in 2019, when Wimbledon denied her the opportunity to play on either of the top 2 courts for one of her matches, despite being the top seed at the event. Alternatively, this year's Australian Open showcased Ash consistently receiving at most the same media coverage as her male Australian counterparts, despite the fact that there isn't a single man ranked inside the top 20 from Australia in singles. Further, Ash doesn't even receive proportionate coverage to her fellow women on tour, such as Serena Williams and Naomi Osaka, largely because she chooses not to indulge herself in the same amount of self-promotion as her fellow professionals. Clearly, Ash's laid-back, carefree, there's more to the world than sport attitude is an abomination. So come on Ash, smash your racket, blame an official, start some beef with your next opponent before your match. The only media stunt you pulled so far in your career is making Disney illusions during some of your press conferences. Now alternatively, one could make the argument that the tennis media or the sporting media should do a better job at promoting good behaviour and humility rather than looking for the drama and conflict. However, as long as John McEnroe's involved, I'm not holding my breath. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Soraya. We're off to a quick break. Welcome back. Over to the world of once relevant politicians, and former PM Kevin Rudd hit the news after a tipsy group of young people mistook his car for that of an Uber driver. K. Rudd gave the gang a fair shake of the sauce bottle though, by taking them to their destination, but as the crew had been on the sauce, they didn't even recognise the handball king until halfway through the trip. And while Rudd was busy dropping off passengers, fellow former PM Malcolm Turnbull was being dropped from his role on a New South Wales Clean Energy Board. Turnbull has cited pressure from News Corp as the reason for his removal, and it's fair to say the Murdoch media was pretty riled up about the whole situation.
And a ghost got his comeuppance today. Now, you've heard everyone say everything, and I'll save most of the analysis for Mark Latham and others in a couple of moments.
Fair enough. Sounds like Sky News is committed to fresh contemporary voices then. So I wonder who they had lined up to discuss the matter. Ah yes, none other than inaugural member of the Australian Political Ghost Gallery himself, Mark Latham. But while Australian politics seems to constantly be drawn back to its past, Russia is looking to its future, with President Vladimir Putin introducing measures to allow him to remain in power until 2036. That's surely enough time for at least another dozen ghosts to manifest in Canberra. But our relationship with Russia hasn't always been the smoothest, and unfortunately for Australia, we no longer have the diplomatic prowess of Tony Abbott to confront any quibbles with the Russian president.
Look, I'm going to shirt front Mr. Putin.
Foreign Policy 101. However, current PM Scott Morrison has more pressing issues on the home front, with his dogs barking unsettling some of his neighbours. Here to navigate the fallout is Karen Kvetch from the Neighbourhood Watch.
Thanks, Sam. I am absolutely outraged by the recent scrutiny of Scott Morrison and his pet pooch, Buddy. Mr. Morrison has done so much for this country as our Prime Minister, and him and his pet schnoodle deserve to be treated with nothing but respect. In case you have not heard about the recent devastating events, neighbours of Mr. Morrison's harbourside home have complained about the noise level coming from the Schnauzer Poodle cross. Aww. One neighbour even stooped to the level of calling beloved Buddy really annoying. I cannot fathom why a grown adult would degrade the character of an innocent dog. The words that were uttered are unacceptable, and this person deserves to be punished. However, these neighbours have conveniently chosen to remain anonymous, meaning their hurtful words cannot be used against them. Although, if you were the neighbours that left those comments, I suggest you sleep with one eye open. Why, you might ask? Well, it's because I have personally opened a Neighbourhood Watch investigation into who made the comments, why they made the comments, and what their current whereabouts is. Jenny might have been forgiving, sending you flowers after you shamelessly complained. But I will not show you the same courtesy. You will be brought to justice. This behaviour is unacceptable and I will not tolerate it. Back to you, Sam.
Dealing with the facts as always, Karen. I don't know about you, but when I'm not busy scrolling through Netflix's endless catalogue, I love a bit of reality TV. I mean, it's just so wholesome, from seeing gorgeously renovated buildings to amazingly talented voices and even feel-good love stories. But who am I kidding? We aren't watching reality TV for what it purports to be. Nothing is better than finishing dinner, kicking your feet up with a nice cup of tea and watching some, well, tea. Scandalous scandals, dramatic drama, heated heat? Anyway, the newest reality trend seems to be hiring contestants who aren't exactly model citizens. So let's cross now to our celebrity chef who's got all the goss.
Drugs, kidnapping, domestic violence, theft, and even jail time. All of these ingredients make the perfect concoction for a criminal, and apparently, a reality TV star. The Block used to be one of my favourite shows, you know? Back when it was about home renovations, product placement, and Foreman Keith.
Not only have the projects become bigger, but apparently so have the lists of contestants' alleged criminal offences.
Like former Block contestant Susie Taylor, who is currently facing over 100 charges. But let's not forget about fellow Block contestant Phil Rankine, who is charged with 20 counts of theft, totaling more than $5 million. Whilst it seems as though the Block may be cursed, it isn't the only show with criminal minds. Damn, now they should make that show into a reality show. Married at First Sight personality Chris Jensen was only able to film the show thanks to the fact that he'd been granted bail. As if the reality show brand wasn't already tarnished enough by intolerable characters and fake drama. Remember when the most dramatic thing on reality TV was Matt Preston telling someone that their food was disgustingly good?
And quite frankly, that disgustingly good.
But even dear celebrity chefs aren't immune from reality TV's naughty list. Former MKR judge Pete Evans has been criticised for spreading coronavirus misinformation, suggesting that a paleo diet could help treat autism, deciding that sunscreen is dangerous, and posting a cartoon with a neo-Nazi symbol. It really does seem as though reality TV is scraping the bottom of the barrel. So thank goodness for the upcoming return of MasterChef. We might actually get to see a petit four instead of these petty four. Back to you, Sam.
Can't wait for the day you actually finish a dish, Kirsten. Right, we're off to another break. Welcome back again. While the majority of international travel is still off the cards, it's all systems go for SpaceX's planned all-civilian space mission in September. This quartet of everyday people will be embarking on the Inspiration 4 mission, which will spend about 3 days in space and orbit the Earth every 90 minutes. Although there are whispers that future launches might see missions try to get around the world in 80 minutes. And while sending everyday people up into space sounds pretty cool in itself, the mission also aims to raise $200 million for the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. The chosen four will undergo training to acclimatise to the demands of space travel before stepping afoot the Crew Dragon capsule in a matter of months. And the space adventurers are absolutely ecstatic at the opportunity, with one of the civilians, Dr. Cyan Proctor, expressing her joy this way.
It's like opening up the chocolate bar and seeing the golden ticket to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Better hope there aren't any stowaway squirrels on this trip. But word has it that it's not just the four on board who are pumped about the launch, so let's cross to our fangirl Sophia to let us know what on Earth, and what in space, all the fuss is about.
Thanks, Sam. While some people look to the skies for shooting stars, star signs, or to show off their amateur astronomy skills to their friends, I look for something deeper, something infinite, something beyond. I've been brought up on space culture my entire life, from E.T. to Buzz Lightyear, even those slobbering aliens in The Simpsons. I've always had the hope that one day I too could don a spacesuit, but I've been dismayed that I'd never be able to explore the limitless black void myself because ordinary people just don't go to space. That's only for astronauts and Sandra Bullock. But things are about to change thanks to Maverick Enigma Elon Musk and his plan to launch the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule into orbit in September, with 4 civilians aboard who have never ever been to space before. Now, not so long ago, if you said people would be hitching a ride on a dragon to outer space, that would have sounded more far-fetched than the entire premise of Space Jam. But not anymore. The stuff of dreams is becoming a reality, and leaving planet Earth is no longer restricted to a select few. Sign me up. So now, it could be anyone hopping in that shuttle, be it an entrepreneur, a geoscientist, a physician assistant, an Air Force veteran, in addition to famous movie stars. This sure is one small step to making space more accessible to all. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Sophia. Well, that brings us to the end of another show. If you were ever in search of a golden ticket, I'd advise against the Veruca Salt approach of opening hundreds of thousands of chocolate bars without even taking a nibble. Chow down as you go. I mean, it's not like you're going to find the ticket anyway, so why not comfort eat the sorrow away? Until next week, the struggle, it's real.